Hi guys, this is Employee Benefits Part 2. Ipakit na naman teacher niyo, joke lang. Okay, so sa Part 2, we're going to discuss defined benefit contribution, which is, ito yung medyo makompute compared sa defined contribution plan. Meron siya talagang T-accounts. Okay, so learning outcomes natin, we explain the accounting procedures for defined benefit plans. We explain the components of the defined benefit cost, and we account for defined benefit plans and other long-term employee benefits and termination benefits. So, yun. Part na nitong lesson na to is yung termination benefits. Okay? So, accounting for defined benefit plan. So, alam natin na sa defined benefit plan, ang may risk dito is yung employer. Kasi kapag hindi niya na-meet yung, kumbaga, yung definite amount na sinabi niya doon sa employee na matatanggap niya for the retirement, ay kailangan humugot siya from the working capital or sa bulsa niya mismo. Para lang ma-meet yung amount na yon. So, yun yung risk niya. Okay? So, the accounting daw dito is complex due to meron kasing tinitingnan na actuarial assumptions. Mamaya di-discuss natin kung ano yung actuarial assumptions. Ito yung mga nakaka-apekto doon sa performance ng investment doon sa financial institution kung nasaan yung retirement fund. Usually. So, yan. Okay, so we discuss the steps in accounting for defined benefit plan. Let me use DBP para mabilis. Okay, first step is to determine the deficit or surplus. So, paano mo tatandaan yung deficit or surplus? So, ang FVPA po is fair value of the plan assets. So, may discuss natin kung ano yun. Pero usually, ito yung mga assets na pinapasok mo do sa retirement plan. Siya yung nanganganak. So, yun. And then, we have present value of the defined benefit obligation. Ito yung obligation mo. Kung magkano yung babayaran mo sa kanya as of today. Kasi naka-present value eh. Okay? So, kapag daw mas malaki yung FVPA, the planned assets, kasi assets siya, meron ka daw surplus. Pero kapag mas maliit yung FVPA compared with the present value of your obligation, syempre may deficit ka. Kabahan ka kapag may deficit kasi syempre huhugot ka from the fund. From the fund. Huhugot ka from, it's either the working capital mo or, syempre, sa bulsa. Para lang ma-meet. Kasi pag hindi mo na-meet, madodole ka or Department of Labor and Employment. Kasi you're violating the contracts. Next, we determine the net defined benefit liability or asset. So, kapag po may deficit, yung kanina, ibig sabihin mas maliit yung FVPA, siya po yung net defined benefit liability kasi syempre pupunan mo yung deficit. Okay? Para mabilis tandaan. Pag naman daw po may surplus, siya po ay net defined asset. Okay? And the net defined benefit asset is lower than the surplus and the asset ceiling. Ano yung asset ceiling? Sabi dito, this is the present value of any economic benefits available in the form of refund. Nagkakaroon ng refund yung plano, due to certain reasons, na-experience sa performance ng investment doon sa financial institution or reductions in future contributions kasi maganda yung performance ng investment, aka the retirement fund. Okay? Yan. So, ito po ay pinapasok sa balance sheet, yung net defined benefit liability or asset. Okay? Next, we determine the defined benefit cost. So, we have a computation here. I have got this from Sir Milan's book. Okay? So, we have service cost. How do you compute for service cost? Una, kasama current service cost. Next, past service cost. And then, any gains or loss on settlement. Mamaya discuss natin kung anong ibig sabihin ng mga yan. Okay? Then, you have to compute for net interest on net defined benefit liability or asset. Ito po ay may discount rate na involved. Okay? So, una mo computein is yung interest sa PVDBO. Okay? Yung liability mo. How much? You have interest cost on defined benefit obligation. So, multiply mo yung discount rate doon sa PVDBO. Okay? Then, the interest income naman is a plan asset. So, you have to multiply the discount rate on the fair value of the plan assets. Okay, para makuha mo si interest income. So, income siya, kaya siya minus. Kaya kinukompute mo kasi cost, kaya naka-minus ang interest. Okay? Then, interest on effect of the asset ceiling. So, sa asset ceiling mo naman siya ibabangga in discount rate. Okay? Then, you can compute for the net interest on the net defined liability of the asset. Okay? Ating tingnan. May pen na nga pala ako. Chart yan. Yan na. Yung mga nasa gilid, yun yung totals. Okay? Then next, you have to compute for the remeasurements of the net defined benefit liability. Okay, this is, sorry, hindi ko na-discuss. Itong service cost at saka net interest ay sa P&L pinapasok. Itong isa, yung remeasurements of net defined benefit liability sa other comprehensive income siya papasok. Okay, so pag tinanong how much of the defined benefit cost should be recognized in P&L, syempre pag-a-add mo tong dalawa. Okay, how much is to be recognized in OCI, syempre ito lang part na to. Okay, so ganun lang. Okay, actual gains and losses, kasama po sa kanya. You have difference between interest income on planned assets and return on planned assets. Pagbabanggain mo, yung na-compute mo interest income and yung actual return ng assets. Given naman yun sa, sa problem. And then difference between the interest on the effect of the asset ceiling and the change in the effect of the asset ceiling. That's if may asset ceiling involved. Okay, then you'll get the total amount. So, pag na-total mo na yan, add mo itong itong tatlong totals na to, makukuha mo po si total defined benefit cost. Okay, so you have to memorize this. Yan. Let's now dive into the different elements of this defined benefit cost. Okay, current service cost po is an increase in present value of the defined benefit obligation kasi nadadagdagan po yung services rendered during the year ng empleyado. It's either na-promote kasi siya or di kaya naman may hinalinhan siyang pwesto. Okay, ang konsepto is dumami yung gawain niya. So, dumami yung bayad mo sa kanya. Nag-increase yung value niya. Okay, so this current service cost. Yung past service cost naman po, nagbago yung present value of DBO mo in prior periods because nagkaroon po ng tinatawag na plan amendment or curtailment. Okay? So, bago tayo pumunta sa ibig sabihin ng plan amendment or curtailment, you have to remember whether vested or unvested, ito po ay expense agad-agad kung ito po ay nagkaroon po ng plan amendment and curtailment. Then, the entity recognizes related restructuring cost or termination benefits, alin daw po ang mas naunang mangyari. At saka, unvested past service costs are not deferred and amortized. So, maalin po sa mga, sa mga conditions na yan, expense po agad, whether vested or unvested itong past service cost. Okay? Now, we go to plan amendment. Plan amendment, by the name itself, plan amendment. May binago po doon sa defined benefit plan na nasa trustee or nasa financial institution. It's either may dinagdag na bagong or binawasan. So nag-amend, nabago yung conditions. Okay? And yung curtailment naman po is nabawasan yung mga empleyado. Significantly reduces the number of employees due to reasons like, nagsara yung planta, nagkaroon ng discontinuance of an operation kasi syempre hindi na part ng operations nila. So, natanggal yung isang segment ng operation, nag-close yung planta, or di kaya naman, kumbaga, in itself ay nagsara na yung company. Okay? So, or mababa yung performance ng company. Like ngayong pandemic, curtailment ang nangyari. That is, nagbawa sila ng tauhan. Okay? So, you have to remember that you have to adjust for past service cost. Okay? So, yan. And then, ang past service cost daw po ay positive kapag yung obligation mo mas mataas. Negative kapag yung obligation mo is mas mababa. Yun lang po yung tatandaan niyo. Okay? Next, we go to gain on loss on settlement. So, ito po naman is kapag daw yung obligation ng employer daw to provide benefits is eliminated other than from payment of benefits according to the terms of the plan. This is the difference between present value of DBO being settled and the settlement price. Yan. So, it's either po hindi naman may na-terminate may napaalis na empleyado, may nag-resign, may na-fire, so kasama siya sa retirement fund, pero hindi niya na-meet yung conditions. So, nagkakaroon ng gain or loss on settlement. Mayroong involved na settlement price, severance pay, yan, okay? So, yun. Okay? So, it's either, yun yung dahilan, okay? Basta there is eliminated other than na-eliminate yung obligasyon ng empleyado nung employer to give the defined benefit obligation. So nawala yung obligation niya. So parang nabawasan yung liability. It's either gain or loss on settlement. Okay. Yun. Okay. Next, net interest on the net defined benefit liability or asset. This is the change in the net defined benefit liability or asset during the period that arises from the passage of time. So ito nga kasi discount rate yung involved, di ba? So tinitingnan mo yung time value of money both for the interest both for the present value of the DBO and for the fair value of the plan assets. Kaya binabangga mo sa kanila yung discount rates to get the interest cost, interest income, and the interest on the effect of asset ceiling. So, yun. So, yung discount rate po is kinukuha po, pare-parehas yung ginagamit na discount rate sa tatlo. And this is based on corporate bonds, high-quality corporate bonds na tinitingnan sa industry. Okay? Yan. So, we have remeasurements on net defined benefit liability or asset. You have what you call the actuarial gains or losses. Ito na yan. Yung binanggit ko kanina, yung start of the discussion. So, these are changes in the PVDBO resulting from changes in actuarial assumptions. Ano yung actuarial assumptions? Yung actuarial assumptions po is factors that affect the determination of the post-employment benefits. For example, is demographic assumptions. For example, sa empleyado, employee turnover, yung employee turnover is gaano sila kabilis mag-resign, gaano kabilis mapalitan yung empleyado. So employee performance, yung mga ganon. Mostly with regards to the employee, it pertains to employee, yung mga assumptions na yan. Okay, so nagiging basis yon for computation of the actuarial value. Okay, actuarial assumption siya. Or financial assumptions which pertains to money matters. Okay? Like for example, performance of the economy, yung mga ganon. So, yun, tinitingnan siya ng actuary. An actuary is an expert in computing for the value of yung mga ganitong investment. Because because it's being affected by actuarial assumptions. So sila nag-aaral talaga sila how to perform or how to assess investments like ito nga, so defined benefit plans, and qualified actuary. Okay, yun yung expertise nila. Kung magkano talaga yung value niya as of the moment na being affected siya ng demographic assumptions and financial assumptions. Okay, so kaya nagkakaroon ng actuarial gains or losses. Okay? Yan. Return on plan assets naman, this is yung investment income. Kasi di ba fair value of the plan assets mo is, syempre assets siya. So, dahil ipinapasok mo siya sa retirement fund, nanganganak siya ng nanganganak. So, itong nanganganak na ito, investment income siya. This is earned by the plan assets. Ibabangga mo siya. After deducting the cost and managing the fund and the taxes, binabangga siya sa interest income para makita mo ano yung expected mo, ano yung actual. So, better the performance of the investment, better is your investment income. On the part of the employer kasi the employer syempre nakikinabang dyan. Example tayo. Stray Kids ulit. Information on Stray Kids defined benefit plan is as follows. Okay, we have present value, beginning balance, 1.5 million. We have fair value of plan assets, 1.2, beginning balance. Ending balance of PV of DBO is 1.8. We have FVPA, ending balance, 1,310. Current service cost, 325. Actual gain, 100. Return on plan assets, 110. And then discount rate of 5%. Okay. So, first, we have to determine the deficit or surplus. Kasi meron na tayong ending balance. You don't have to T-account it anymore. So, banggain mo lang. FVPA, ending balance, 1,310. And then PV of DBO, ending balance, 1.8. You have deficit of 490. Ma'am, bakit deficit? Kasi examine the given, yung iyong obligasyon na 1.8 ay mas malaki kaysa sa value ng iyong assets. So, ibig sabihin, deficit ka talaga. So, determine the net defined benefit liability. So, your net defined liability in this case kasi deficit siya is 490 to be presented as non-current liabilities of the company in the balance sheet. Okay? So, next, we determine the defined benefit cost. So, yung mahabang solving, okay? pasok niyo lang siya dun sa template. You have current service cost, 325. Wala po tayong past service cost. Walang gain and loss on settlement na given. So, your total service cost is 325. Okay, next, net interest on net defined benefit liability. Okay, your interest cost is 75,000. Ma'am, paano nakuha? 5% times 1/8. Ano? Yan, 75. And then you have interest income. Yan, interest income is interest sa fair value of the plan assets mo siya babanggain. Okay, 5% times yung value, you have 60,000. And then, pag sinumation mo silang lahat, you have, wala kasing effect on asset ceiling, you have 15,000 as your net interest. Okay, and then on remeasurement of the net defined benefit, meron ka actual gain na 100,000. Okay, nakaganon, gains kasi naka-parenthesis. Okay, kasi this is defined benefit cost, kaya lahat ng gains naka-negative. Difference between interest income on plan assets and return on plan assets. Ma'am, paano nakuha? Okay, you have here return on plan assets na 110. Okay, ito 110, babangga mo siya dito sa 60,000. Okay, so 110 minus 60, pangit ng okay, you'll get 50. Okay, so yan. Ang actual mo daw po ay this one, actual mo kasi is 110. Mas malaki siya kaysa sa ini-expect mo. So, gain talaga yung 50. Okay? So, yun, 50. So, dahil gain siya, naka-negative. Okay? Then, you'll get, pag sinumation mo, wala itong effect on asset ceiling. Okay? So, summation, you have negative 150. So, pag pinag-add mo, 3, 2, 5, 15, tsaka negative 150, you'll get 190. So, that's your defined benefit cost. How do you journalize for that? Debit, retirement benefit expense, 340. Alin yun? Okay. 340 is your, this one. Pag pinag-add mo yung 325 at saka yung 15. Okay? So, that's your retirement benefits expense. Okay? Net defined benefit liability, this one. Okay, the defined benefit cost na 190, and then your remeasurement, syempre ito, 150. Okay, naka-gain siya, kaya naka-credit income. Pero kapag yan ay hindi siya naka-parenthesis, cost siya, dito sa taas siya. So, yun. Okay, so actually dapat ito na, yan, okay, ganun. Okay, so yan. Next. Okay. Yan. Present value of the defined benefit obligation. So, more on T accounts. So, this is the T account for the present value of defined benefit obligation. Ma'am, kailan yung ginagamit? Kapag hindi given ng ending balance. You have to compute for the ending balance. Okay? So, paano ka na-compute ng ending balance? Here. So, as you can see, yan, this one. Okay? So, anong laman? Because this is a liability, ang normal balance is credit. Okay? Liability siya. So, ang beginning balance is naka-credit. You have current and past service cost, credit. You have interest cost, credit. Interest cost yung yung PVDVO times discount rate. Okay? And then, actual loss, credit. And then, pag debit mo, benefits paid. And then, debit ka din ng actuarial gain due to decrease. Okay? So, kung anong given, pasok ka lang ng pasok sa T account, mako-compute mo na yung ending balance. Okay? In the previous example kasi, given na yung ending balance, so we didn't compute for the T account. Okay? Pero kapag hindi given, you have to compute. No? Okay? Next. Fair value of the plan assets. So, as discussed nga kanina, hindi ko pa pala nag-discuss. Anyway, ito yung mga assets mo na nasa fund. Okay? So, assets held by a long-term employee benefit fund. So, that is legally separate from the employer or some qualifying insurance policies. Okay, na meron si employer na pinasok niya sa trustee or sa financial institution na nagka-accumulate ng investment income. Okay? Are not available to the employer's creditor. So, hindi to pwedeng habulin ng creditors, even in cases of bankruptcy ng employer, okay? Except daw kung ito daw po ay represents surplus assets. Kapag may surplus, pwede. That are not needed in settling employee benefit obligations or a reimbursement to the employer for employee benefits already paid. Pero in general, hindi siya pwedeng kuhanin ng creditors or isubasta sa mga creditors or batakin ng creditors kasi it's meant for the employees. Okay? So, yan. T-account, ganito po yung T-account niya. Kasi fair value of plan asset is an asset, the normal balance is debit. So, debit ka, beginning balance, debit return on plan assets, which is usually given naman, then debit contributions to the funds. Credit, benefits paid, or yung mga napamigay mo na. Okay? Then, yun, makukuha mo na ending balance. Okay? So, technique is to do, pag kunwari, you were asked to look for the benefits paid, look for the return on plan assets, at ito lang yung mga given, you can use the quadrant method. I believe I have already taught the quadrant method in the previous lessons. Okay, kung paano gawin siya. Okay, it's very handy, the quadrant method. Okay, or the balancing method wherein the debits and credits ay pinagbabalanse mo. Kaso yung ending balance pa ganun, for example, this one, yung ending balance na naka-debit kasi debit balance siya, ililipat mo yung ending balance niya dito sa kabila. Okay? Para makita mo magkano pa yung kulang ng other side. So, yun yung balancing figure. Okay? So, ganun. Example. This one, you have fair value of planned assets, beginning balance 1 million. PVDBO, beginning balance 1.2. You have current service cost 300, benefits paid 250, return on planned assets 80, contributions to the fund 220, actuarial losses you have 30, and discount rate na 10. As you can see, hindi computed ang ending balance. So, compute muna daw po kayo ng net defined benefit liability or asset for the beginning and for the end. Kaso, itong beginning madali kasi meron kang beginning balances. Pagbabanggain mo lang yung dalawang yan. Paano itong ending? Wala kang balanse. So, you have to compute for that before you actually compute for number 2. And then yung number 3, yung mahabang formula. Okay, let's compute. Net defined benefit liability or asset. So, you have on the beginning of the period. So, sabi ko nga sa inyo, pagbabanggain nyo lang yung beginning balances ng FVPA and PVDBO. Okay, so 1 million minus 1, 2, you'll get net defined. In this case, this is a liability. Kasi, as you can see, mas malaki yung obligasyon mo kaysa dun sa kinita ng plan assets mo or the value of the plan assets. Okay, so you have 200,000 deficit. Okay, yan. Then you have we now compute for the ending balances. Okay? Unahin muna natin si fair value of plan assets kasi kakaunti siya. Okay? Pasok mo lang beginning balance 1 million. Return on plan assets given 80,000. Contributions to the fund 220. And then benefits paid 250. Nakalagay naman 250 benefits paid. Yan. So you have your foot, the debit and credit, and then you cross foot. Once you cross foot, you'll get 1,050,000. Okay, that's the ending balance for FVPA. Okay, next, PVDBO. Okay, pasok, beginning balance 1.2. Pasok, 300,000 current and past service cost. Pasok, interest cost na 120,000. Paano nakuha? That's PVDBO times 10%. That's this 10 discount rate. Okay, and then actuarial loss, 30,000. Okay, sa other side, you have 250. Again, foot, cross foot, you'll get ending balance of 1.4 million. Wala kang actuarial gain. Actuarial loss meron. Okay? Now, we cannot compute for the net defined benefit liability or asset. So, that is this one, this two. 1050 minus 14, you have deficit of 350. Bakit? Mas malaki pa rin yung obligation mo. Okay? 350 net defined liability deficit. Okay, for the 12/31/20X1. Okay, yan. Next, defined benefit ko. So, pasok mo lang yung doon sa ating template talaga. Okay, current service cost given 300,000. Walang past service cost, wala ding gain or loss on settlement. You get 300,000. Next, you have interest cost on defined benefit obligation. Alam naman kung paano na-compute. That is yung PVDBO na 1.2 million times 10%. That's 120. Okay. Interest income on plan assets naman is 1 million na FVPA times 10%. You have 100,000 dahil income siya kaya naka-parenthesis. Okay. Then, you'll get, pag sinumation, wala kasing interest effect on asset ceiling. So, zero siya. So, pag sinumation mo siya, you'll get 20,000. Okay. Then we have remeasurements of net defined benefit liability or asset in OCI. Actuarial gains or losses, you have losses, 30,000. And then you have difference between interest income on plan assets and return on plan assets. Again, pagbabanggain mo lang, yung interest income, ito, this one, na 100,000. And yung actual return, yung kanina, yung given, 80,000. So, pag nakuha mo yan, you'll get 20,000. Okay? In this case, mas malaki yung expected mo kaysa yung actual. So, cost pa rin siya. Okay? So, kaya hindi siya naka-parenthesis. Costo. Okay? Yan. And then, add mo lang yung dalawa, 50,000. So, para makuha mo yung total, add mo lang 300, 20, 50, 370. Okay? So, yun po yung sa defined benefit cost. Ang dali, di ba? Pag may template. Okay. Journal entries. Okay, let's journalize. For 20x1, yung you have to record the contributions of the fund. Siyempre, nag-contribute ka eh. Debit net defined benefit liability kasi nababawasan na yung liability mo. Nagko-contribute ka na 220,000 and credit cash 220. Naglabas ka ng cash. Okay? On year-end, debit ka retirement benefits expense na 320. Okay? Debit ka ng remeasurement defined benefit liability. As you can see, di ba, yung previous example naka-credit siya, ngayon naka-debit. Kasi as you can see dito, 50,000, hindi siya naka-parenthesis. Cost talaga siya. So, kaya naka-debit ka dito. And then, yung 320 mo is this one. Pag pinag-add mo itong nasa PNL, okay? Retirement benefits expense siya. Yon. And then, net defined benefit liability, you have 370. Okay? That is, ito, yung dulo. Ganun lang. Okay? Yan. Next, we have ultimate cost of DBP. So, ito kasing ultimate cost, ultimate talaga. Na-influensyahan kasi yung ultimate cost, yung DBP mo mismo, ng variables such as final salaries, employee turnover, mortality, employee contributions, and medical cost trends. So, syempre, nagbabago yung ultimate cost niya, yung present values niya. Okay, you need an actuary to actually, ang hirap to actually know the value. So, kaya nilalagay yung ultimate cost. Okay, it is necessary to apply an actuarial valuation method to attribute benefit to periods of service and to make actuarial assumptions. I'll give examples for this. Send ko na lang sa LMS. Okay? So, the actuarial valuation method, or what you call the projected unit credit method, this is also known as your accrued benefit method prorated on service or as a benefit years of, ang dami naman tawag sa kanya, di ba? Okay, so, yon. Ito po ginagamit kapag you are measuring the retirement benefit using future salary levels or projected salaries of the employee. So, you are projecting, actually, assumptions are made to estimate the salary level of employees on their expected retirement date. So, ito, pagalingan ng judgment. Judgment accountant talaga. Wherein, titingnan mo yung trends, titingnan mo yung assumptions, titingnan mo yung possible performance of the company in the future, and yung future salary levels nila according to present conditions. Kumbaga, ano yung pinaka-conservative mong projection in the future for the employee rates. So, ganun, future salary levels. Mahirap siyang gawin kasi kapag sumasala ka sa, kapag hindi na-hone or na-develop yung professional judgment mo, talagang baka hindi conservative na tinatawag yung maging judgment mo in the future. Yan. Attributing benefit to periods of service. So, if benefits are materially higher for services rendered in latter years than in earlier years, so ito daw, kapag nagbabago kasi syempre, pag nagbabago yung status ng employee dun sa company, kasi ang tagal na niya tagal na yung years of service niya, na-promote siya, dadagdagan yung gawain niya, yung mga ganon. So, yung benefits daw is on a straight line basis, okay? From the date of the employee's entitlement to the benefits starts to accrue until the date where future services will no longer lead to material amount of benefits. So, yan. Kasi pagtaas ng sahod mo, pagtaas din ng benefits, like for example, yung share na kinocontribute mo kay SSS, kay PhilHealth, Yun. Kay Pag-ibig kasi stable, consistent. Unless ikaw na mismo yung request kay HR na taasan yung employee share. Yung employer share kasi is consistent. Yung employee share, pwede pang magbago when it comes to Pag-ibig. So, yun. So, parang hindi nagiging, nagkakaroon ng hindi naman fluctuations parang i-average mo. Parang ganun. Okay. Then we have reimbursements na tinatawag. So, recognized as separate asset measured at fair value. So, you have to remember this. Reimbursements are separate. Reimbursements on the part of the employer due to the defined benefit plan. Okay. These are separate assets measured at fair value. If it is virtually certain that another party will reimburse some or all of the expenditures required to settle a defined benefit obligation. Kung may third party, yun yung condition niya, virtually certain na merong sasalo, okay, for the reimbursement doon sa, ibibigay mong DBO. So yun. Any gain or loss on the changes in the carrying amount of the reimbursement is recognized in addition or deduction from the defined benefit cost. So, para siyang, part siya ng remeasurements. So, yun. Okay? Overfunding and underfunding. Kailan po overfunded? Overfunded ang retirement plan kapag may net benefit asset. Masyado kang magaling mag-contribute. Yung employer pala. Masyadong magaling mag-contribute yung employer mo. Okay, there is underfunding kapag may defined benefit liability, hindi masipag mag-contribute or kulang yung kino-contribute na employer mo. Okay? Fully funded naman siya if equal yung FVPA at PVDBO. Okay? So, yan. Offsetting. So, ito daw pong offset is an asset relating to one plan is offset against a liability relating to another plan only. May condition kung kailan ka lang pwede mag-offset. Kapag daw legally enforceable right to use a surplus is one plan asset to settle obligations under the other plan. Kapag legally enforceable right, ibig sabihin nakalagay sa kontrata na pwede mong gamitin yung surplus ng isang plan para i-offset yung obligations ng other plan. And an intention to either settle the obligations on a net basis or to realize the surplus in one plan and settle its obligation under the other plan simultaneously. Okay, so this is sabay mo sinesettle, wherein parang kumita ka dun sa isa kulang. Okay? And the intention is to either settle them on a net basis. Parang same lang din naman yung conditions. Okay? So, i-offset mo na lang. Okay? Ganun. Diba? Nangyari kasi yun kapag multiple plans yung employer. Other long-term employee benefits. So, yan. So, itong employee benefits, other than post-employee benefits and termination benefits that are due to be settled beyond 12 months after the end of the period in which employees have rendered related service. Okay, beyond 12 months. Examples daw is long-term compensated absence. May long-term compensated absences. Kakaunti lang employee nagbibigay niyan. Long-term disability benefits. So, usually kapag medyo delikado yung trabaho, so, yung medyo may hazard pay, yan. And then, meron kang insurance na pag nagkaroon ng disability, like naputulan ng kamay, naputulan ng paa, nabalian, nabulag, because due to the nature of the work. So, long-term disability benefits. Meron. And then, profit-sharing bonuses and deferred compensation payable beyond 12 months after the benefits were earned. Okay? So, yun yung other long-term benefits. This is beyond 12 months, ha? So, ibig sabihin, these are discounted. Yan. Termination benefits. So, tingnan natin. Pag na-terminate ka, hindi ka nag-retire, na-terminate ka. Pag na-terminate ka, ano yung makukuha mo? Okay? Provided as a result of either the entity's decision to terminate the employee before normal retirement date, so decision ng employer na i-terminate na yung kontrata, or the employee's decision to accept the employer's offer of benefits in exchange for termination. Ito, parang inoferan ka na, kumbaga, ikaw yung magde-decide kung aalis or hindi, pero ito yung offer ko pag umalis ka before your retirement date. So, arises from the employer's act of terminating employee rather than from the employee's service. Okay? Ito po ay act ni employer. Hindi to severance. Hindi to severance. Ito po yung act ni employer. Okay, si employer ang nag-initiate niya na tino-terminate na niya yung kontrata mo. You're not being fired. Hindi ka nagre-resign. Tino-terminate ka na niya. Is either due to curtailment, alam niyo naman, ibig sabihin na curtail, layoff. Curtailment. So yun. Okay? Yan. Again, these are the conditions. Either decision ng entity to terminate the employee before the retirement date, or ito po ay employee's decision to accept the employer's offer of benefits in exchange for termination. Okay? So, for example nga, magsasara na yung kumpanya. Hindi naman magsasara or part ka ng curtailment. So, pumayag ka na lang na before you're retirable ka naman, retirable. Kumbaga, parang you've rendered, ikaw ay regular, you've rendered service sa kanila, and malapit ka na naman sa retirable age mo. So, terminate ka na before retirement age. So, that's termination benefits. Okay? Benefits resulting from termination at the employee's request without the employer's offer are not termination benefits but post-employment benefits. So, kapag employer na po yung nagre-request na siya ma-terminate, ay hindi po termination benefits ang tawag doon, kundi post-employment benefits. Okay? So, recognition recognizes a liability and expense at the earlier of the following dates. Tandaan, earlier. When the entity can no longer withdraw the offer of those benefits, or when the entity recognizes restructuring cost. Yan. Kasi nga, baka nga victim ka ng curtailment. Part ka ng line-up ng ili-layoff due to curtailment. Yun. So, kaya may restructuring cost na nagaganap sa company. Okay? Yan. Measurement accounted for according to their nature. Kapag this is payable within 12 months, okay, this is short-term benefits. So, balabalikan kung paano ina-account ang short-term benefits. Payable beyond 12 months, other long-term benefits. Kapag enhancement to post-employment benefits, so siya po ay post-employment benefits. So, depende kung saan siya pumatak na category. Example, Thunderous Co. Circuits pa rin siya. Plans to close a branch with 20 employees in 3 months' time. Okay? To fill in some pending customer order, syempre, may humahabol pa. Thunderous Co. offers its employees the following. Each employee who stays and renders service until the closure of the branch will receive 130,000 on the termination date. Okay? Wow, 130,000. Okay? Employees who leave before the closure will receive 40,000. Half of the employees are expected to leave before closure. How much is the liability for termination benefits? Again, termination benefits lang ha. Paano kunin? Una, kunin mo muna yung number of employees per branch. 20. Okay? Termination benefit per employee. 40,000. Mahalin yun yung letter B. 40,000. Your liability for termination benefits is 800,000. Maba't ganon? May half pa. Okay? Kasi ganito, yung 20 employees niya, lahat naman niya mataterminate. Okay? Lahat niya mataterminate. Ibig sabihin, lahat niya makakatanggap ng 40,000. Sure. Sure na makakatanggap sila ng 40,000 kasi lahat sila mataterminate. So, yung 40,000 na yon, okay, termination benefit yon. Okay? And liability siya for termination benefits. Ang category niya, 800,000. Paano yung 130,000? Okay? Yung 130,000, meron sa kanya, sa loob niya, na short-term benefits. Ano yon? 130 minus 40. Okay? 130 kasi daw yung matatanggap nung mag-i-stay na kalahati. Okay? So, 130. Sa 130 doon, 40,000 is 40,000 is for termination. So, ibig sabihin, yung natira, that is 90,000, siya po is bayad dun sa ni-render na service after, until closure. Yung 90,000, parang for rendered service. So, ibig sabihin, hindi siya termination benefit, kundi short-term benefit. Yung 90,000. Okay? Ang tinatanong lang naman sa atin is termination benefits. That is, lahat ng 20, magkano yung matatanggap nila once ma-terminate yung kontrata nila. Okay? So, 40,000 yun. Okay? So, multiply mo 800,000. Now, ma'am, anong tawag dun sa 90,000? So, multiply mo 90,000 times 10, yung kalahating matitira, tutulong dun sa company para matapos yung orders yung 900,000, okay, this is short-term benefits nga, which will be recognized on a straight line basis. Di ba yun yung sabi? Dun sa, depende daw on the service years. Ano, in this case, month. Ano, so, on a straight line basis, that is 900,000. Si accountant, i-divide siya into 3. That's 300,000 per month as short-term benefit expense. Okay? So, ganun po. Huwag malilito dyan, ha. Tingnan nyo na lang, na isipin nyo na lang, lahat ba sila mag-terminate? Pag ang sagot mo is lahat, ibig sabihin, merong fixed na termination amount na marireceive sila. Lahat. Ano? And then, tsaka mo na lang tingnan kung ano yung benefit na mag-i-stay pa. So, yung matatanggap na mag-i-stay pa, i-minus mo doon yung matatanggap niya as termination benefit. Ganun lang. Okay? Medyo kailangan mo ng konting storytelling sa utak mo or visualization sa utak mo kung ano nangyayari when it comes to employee benefits. So, yan. Okay? So, yun lamang po for this part 2, which we were able to discuss defined benefit plans and other employee benefits and termination benefits. Okay? So, yun. And the examples for this will be discussed in the guided exercises. Okay? So, see you sa guided exercise.